There is a moment that catches almost every parrot owner off guard. Maybe it happened this morning. Maybe it happened months ago. And maybe, you didn't even realize what you were seeing. You walk into the room. Your parrot is across the room on their perch. You haven't spoken. You haven't opened the cage. You haven't made a sound. And yet somehow, they already know it's you. Not someone else. Not a family member. Not a visitor. You. Their eyes shift. Their posture changes. Maybe they fluff slightly. Maybe they climb closer. Maybe they make a sound they only make when you arrive. And what feels strange about that moment, is how quickly it happens. Almost instantly. As though they recognized you before you even entered the room. Most people assume parrots simply recognize their owners. But the truth is much more fascinating than that. Because your parrot isn't just recognizing you. They've been studying you. For months. Maybe years. Watching. Learning. Remembering. Building a detailed profile of who you are inside their mind. And once you understand how much information your parrot is actually collecting about you, you may start realizing something surprising. You are not the only one observing this relationship. Your parrot has been observing it too. Welcome back to Parrot Decoded. Tonight, we're exploring one of the most remarkable abilities hidden inside the parrot mind. Because the bird sitting quietly in your home may remember far more about you than you ever imagined. Stay until the end. Because the final thing we cover explains why some parrots can recognize a person they haven't seen in years, almost instantly. And once you understand how that happens, you may never look at your bird the same way again. Most people think bonding begins when they start paying attention to their bird. But in reality, the observation usually starts much earlier. Because parrots are natural watchers. In the wild, survival depends on paying attention. Who is safe? Who is dangerous? Who provides food? Who causes problems? Every member of the flock becomes part of an enormous social database constantly running inside the parrot's brain. And when a parrot enters your home, you become part of that database. Without realizing it, your bird begins collecting information. How you move. How you walk. How your voice sounds. What time you wake up. What time you return home. Which rooms you enter most often. Which behaviors predict food. Which behaviors predict attention. Your parrot may seem relaxed. Distracted. Occupied with toys. But often, they are learning far more than you realize. Long before trust develops, observation begins. Have you ever noticed your parrot becoming excited before something happens? Before feeding time. Before you arrive home. Before you uncover the cage. Before you open a favorite snack. Sometimes owners assume their bird is guessing. But often, they're predicting. And parrots are surprisingly good at prediction. Because prediction is one of the most valuable survival tools in nature. The ability to anticipate events before they happen allows animals to prepare. To react faster. To stay safe. And parrots become exceptionally skilled at finding patterns. One small routine repeated enough times becomes information. Information becomes expectation. And expectation becomes prediction. Eventually, your bird knows the sequence. The sound of your car. The timing of your footsteps. The click of a light switch. The way you walk toward the kitchen before preparing food. To you, these actions feel ordinary. To your parrot, they are clues. And your bird is constantly putting those clues together. Most people assume facial recognition is the entire story. But parrots rarely rely on a single cue. They build an identity profile. A collection of information. Voice. Movement. Posture. Routine. Energy. Even the way you carry yourself. This is why some parrots can identify their owner from another room before seeing them. The voice arrives first. The footsteps arrive first. The movement pattern arrives first. And the brain begins matching information. Researchers studying avian cognition have repeatedly found that parrots possess extraordinary social recognition abilities, not because they memorize one thing. Because they combine many things together. The result is surprisingly sophisticated. Your bird doesn't simply know your face. They know your pattern. And patterns are often easier to recognize than appearance alone. This is where things become truly fascinating. Because your parrot isn't only learning what you do. They're learning how you feel. Anyone who has lived with a parrot for years has probably experienced this. You walk into the room stressed. And somehow your bird behaves differently. You feel sad. And they become quieter. You feel excited. And they become more energetic. Scientists are still exploring the full extent of emotional perception in parrots. But one thing is clear. Parrots pay enormous attention to social signals. Tone of voice. Facial tension. Body language. Movement speed. Behavioral changes. All of these provide information. And because parrots evolved inside complex social groups, they became exceptionally sensitive observers of emotional behavior. In other words, your parrot may notice changes in your mood before you consciously recognize them yourself. This is the part that surprises many owners. A parrot can go months, sometimes years, without seeing a particular person. And then suddenly, that person returns. And the recognition appears almost immediate. The bird remembers. The voice. The face. The experience. The relationship. Researchers have documented remarkable long-term memory in parrots. Especially when social relationships are involved. And from an evolutionary perspective, it makes sense. In the wild, social memory helps maintain flock stability. Friend. Rival. Mate. Family. These relationships matter, so the brain invests heavily in remembering them. And once a strong memory forms, it can remain surprisingly durable. Long after humans expect it to fade. I think part of the reason people love parrots so deeply is because of moments like these. A bird looks at you. Not through you. Not past you. At you. And something about that feels different. Because recognition is powerful. Being remembered is powerful. Especially by another living creature. Science can explain much of what we've talked about tonight. Pattern recognition. Memory. Prediction. Social cognition. Observation. But science doesn't fully explain the feeling. The feeling of realizing your bird has spent months quietly learning who you are. The feeling of understanding that while you've been watching them, they've been watching you too. Studying your habits. Learning your voice. Memorizing your routines. Building a picture of you inside their mind. And maybe that's why those moments feel so meaningful. Because for a brief second, you realize something extraordinary. Your parrot doesn't just live in your world. You live in theirs too. The next time your bird reacts before you speak, before you move, before you even fully enter the room, remember this. That reaction didn't happen by accident. It's the result of hundreds of observations. Thousands of tiny memories. Months or years of learning. Your parrot knows more about you than you think. And every day, they're still learning. Tell me in the comments, what's something your parrot seems to know about you before anyone else does? I will read every comments. I'll see you in the next video.